The day the aliens came started like any other for Major Sam Winters. He woke up in his small apartment in New Washington, drank his coffee, and put on his Space Force uniform. The blue and silver fabric felt familiar against his skin after 15 years of service. Little did he know that by evening everything would change. Sam arrived at the Earth Defense Command headquarters just as Admiral Peter Grant called an emergency meeting. The large screen in the briefing room showed a fleet of strange ships approaching the solar system. "We've made contact," said Admiral Grant. His normally calm face looked worried. "They call themselves the Kralax. They've asked for a meeting." Dr. Lily Baker sat beside Sam. As Earth's top xenobiologist, she had spent her life preparing for this moment. Her red hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her green eyes studied the alien ships with intense interest. "What do we know about them?" she asked. "Almost nothing," the Admiral replied. "But they've agreed to a meeting on the Artemis station. Major Winters, you'll head security. Dr. Baker, you'll lead the scientific team." 24 hours later, Sam stood in the docking bay of Artemis Station, watching the alien shuttle connect with their airlock. His hand rested on his sidearm, more from habit than any expectation of trouble. 6 soldiers stood behind him, trying to look relaxed. "Remember," Lily whispered beside him, "first impressions matter. We represent all of humanity here." The airlock hissed open. Sam's first thought was that the Kralax were beautiful in a strange way. Tall and slender, with smooth blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Their 4 eyes, 2 large ones and 2 smaller ones above, took in the humans with obvious curiosity. They wore armor that looked like it was grown rather than made, fitting their bodies perfectly. The leader stepped forward. "I am Vexillar, commander of the Kralax Diplomatic Guard." His voice came through a translator device on his chest, sounding almost musical. "We bring greetings from the Kralax Empire." Sam noticed how smoothly they moved, like dancers, but he also noticed something else. The way they looked at the humans reminded him of scientists studying lab rats. The meeting moved to the station's conference room. Admiral Grant led the discussions, with Lily asking occasional questions about Kralax biology and culture. The aliens answered politely but revealed little. "Your species is interesting," Vexillar said, those 4 eyes studying the humans. "You've achieved space travel despite your limitations." "Limitations?" Lily asked. "Physical ones. Your bodies seem so fragile compared to many species we've encountered." Something in Vexillar's tone made Sam uneasy. He scanned the room, counting exits and positions. The aliens had brought 8 guards, all standing perfectly still against the walls. 3 hours into the meeting, Sam noticed one of the Kralax guards touch something on his wrist. Sam's combat instincts, honed through years of service, screamed, "Danger!" "Admiral down!" Sam shouted, lunging forward just as the air filled with a high-pitched whine. The conference table exploded. Through the chaos and smoke, Sam saw the Kralax guards drawing weapons. Admiral Grant fell, a burning hole in his chest. 2 human security officers dropped before they could even reach for their guns. Sam pulled Lily under the wreckage of the table. "Stay down!" he yelled, drawing his sidearm and firing at the nearest Kralax. The alien moved with shocking speed, dodging the shot, but the second bullet caught it in the shoulder. Instead of blood, a clear gel oozed from the wound. "This way." Sam pulled Lily toward the emergency exit. Around them, the remaining human delegation was being cut down by precise energy blasts. The Kralax moved like lightning, their bodies bending in ways human bodies couldn't. They reached the corridor outside, alarms blaring throughout the station. "We need to warn Earth," Sam said, pulling Lily toward the escape pods. 2 Kralax guards appeared at the end of the hallway. Sam pushed Lily behind him and fired, hitting one in the leg. The alien stumbled but kept coming. "They're tough," Sam muttered, firing again. They reached the pod bay, but more Kralax blocked their path. Sam spotted a maintenance shaft. "In there," he shouted, providing cover fire while Lily crawled inside. He followed, pulling the hatch closed just as energy blasts hit the wall behind them. They crawled through the narrow space, hearing the aliens tearing open hatches behind them. Why are they doing this? Lily gasped as they emerged into a lower level of the station. I don't know, Sam replied, but we need to get off this station. An explosion rocked the structure. Through a viewport, they saw Krelak's ships firing on the station. Other alien vessels were heading toward Earth. They're not here for peace, Sam said grimly. This is an invasion. They reached the emergency shuttle bay. Sam quickly powered up a small transport craft while Lily sealed the doors behind them. The shuttle launched just as Krelak's troops broke through. As they pulled away from the dying station, Lily looked at the communication panel. Messages coming in from all over the system. New Chicago colony is under attack. So is Mars base. It's happening everywhere at once. Sam set course for Earth, pushing the little ship to its limits. They planned this all along. The meeting was just to get close to our leaders. Lily's face was pale as she studied data on her tablet. I'm accessing information they shared during the meeting. There's more here than they meant to reveal. The Krelaks have conquered dozens of worlds, Sam. They're an empire built on conquest. Sam looked out at the stars, thinking of the aliens' comment about human limitations. They think we'll be easy to defeat. Lily nodded slowly. They classified us as physically inferior. Their data suggests humans rank low on their threat assessment scale compared to other species they've encountered. The shuttle's communication system crackled. A message from Earth Defense Command came through, ordering all ships to defensive positions. The voice sounded desperate. They're about to learn something, Sam said, setting course for the nearest Earth defense fleet. His jaw tightened as he thought of his fallen comrades. Humans don't give up easily. As their small ship raced toward Earth, they could see flashes in the distance where the battle had already begun. Behind them, the Artemis station broke apart, debris scattering across space like a funeral pyre for humanity's hopes of peaceful first contact. They think they know what we are, Lily said quietly. They've studied our biology, measured our strength, calculated our technology level. But they've missed something important. What's that? Sam asked. What humans become when we're fighting for survival. Her eyes reflected the distant explosions. They're about to find out. The colony of New Horizon was quiet as dawn broke over its wheat fields. Most of the 10,000 settlers were still asleep when the Krelak ships appeared in the sky. Lieutenant Kate Morris saw them first. She was doing her morning run around the perimeter of the settlement when 6 alien vessels broke through the clouds. Kate immediately activated her comm unit. This is Lieutenant Morris. Unknown ships approaching from the north. All militia to defense positions. This is not a drill. She sprinted back toward the colony center, her military training kicking in. As the former head of colony security, Kate had always worried about pirate raids. But these ships were something else entirely. Jack Reeves was fixing a broken harvester. When the alarm sounded, the big man put down his tools and looked up at the sky. At 45, Jack had left Earth's military 15 years ago to become a farmer. Now, watching the alien ships descend, he knew his peaceful days were over. Dad, what's happening? His son Eric asked. The 16-year-old boy stood in the doorway of their barn, eyes wide with fear and excitement. Go to the shelter, Jack said. Reaching for the rifle he kept locked in his work cabinet. Now, Eric, but I can help. The shelter. Tell your mother I'll be there soon. Across the colony, people ran for cover as the first Krelak's dropships landed. Kate reached the security office just as her team of 20 part-time militia members arrived, farmers and teachers who had basic training for emergencies. We've got incoming hostiles, she told them, handing out weapons. Protect the civilians, get them to the underground shelters. A young officer named Paul looked at the scanner. There's hundreds of them, Lieutenant. Kate checked her rifle. Then we'll just have to be smarter than them. The Krelaks moved through the colony with military precision. Commander Zivran led his troops with complete confidence. According to their intelligence, humans were slow and weak compared to Krelak's warriors. This settlement would be secured within hours. Secure the central buildings, he ordered. The humans will surrender quickly once they see our power. But as the first Squad of aliens moved into the colony's main street. Shots rang out from multiple positions. Hidden defenders fired from windows, rooftops, and doorways. 3 Kralax fell before they could react. The others took cover, surprised by the accuracy of the primitive projectile weapons. "They're just bullets," an officer said to Zivron over the comm. "Their weapons are centuries behind ours." "Then why are my soldiers dying?" Zivron hissed. Kate had positioned her people carefully, using their knowledge of the colony layout. When the Kralax tried to advance down the main street, hidden sprinklers activated, spraying water across the road. "Now!" Kate ordered, and one of her team threw a switch. Electricity surged through the water. The aliens screamed as the current hit them, their wet armor conducting the shock through their bodies. Across town, Jack Reeves had turned his farm equipment into weapons. He led a group of farmers who used fertilizer and fuel to create explosives. When a Kralax squad approached the western fields, the first alien stepped on a buried pressure plate. The explosion threw 3 aliens into the air. The others retreated, confused by the primitive but effective trap. By midday, the Kralax had suffered more losses than expected. Zivron paced in his command ship, 4 eyes blinking rapidly in frustration. How are they doing this? They should be begging for mercy by now. His second-in-command brought up a display showing the colony. "They're using the terrain against us. Every time we advance, they retreat and draw us into traps. They're just farmers, not warriors." "The humans seem to be both, Commander." Meanwhile, Kate had united her forces with Jack's group. They met in an underground storage facility, planning their next move. "We can't beat them in direct combat," Kate said, "but we can keep them off balance until help arrives." Jack nodded. "I've rigged the irrigation systems in the eastern fields. If we can lure them there." "We need a distraction," Kate said, looking at her dwindling team. From the back of the room, a voice spoke up. "I can do it." It was Eric, Jack's son. He had sneaked out of the shelter to join the fight. "No way," Jack said immediately. "Get back to safety." "Dad, I know these fields better than anyone. I can lead them through the marsh path. They'll never catch me." Before anyone could stop him, the alarm sounded. The Kralax had found their hideout. "Move out the back," Kate ordered. "We'll split up and meet at checkpoint 3. As they escaped through underground tunnels, Eric disappeared in the confusion. The Kralax were growing frustrated. The colony should have been secured hours ago, but these humans fought like no species they had encountered before. They didn't surrender when outgunned. They didn't flee when their leaders fell. Instead, they adapted, using their environment and whatever tools they had available. Zivron ordered a full sweep of the colony. His troops moved house by house, field by field, finding traps and ambushes at every turn. Then one of his scouts reported movement near the eastern fields. A single human, just a young male, was running across open ground. "Capture it," Zivron ordered. "We need information." A squad of Kralax pursued Eric across the farmland. The boy ran toward the marsh where his father had set the trap. The aliens were faster, their long legs covering ground quickly, but Eric knew every ditch and hole in this land. He jumped across narrow channels that the heavier aliens had to go around. From their hiding place near the irrigation controls, Jack watched his son lead the aliens into position. His heart pounded with fear and pride. "Now," he whispered to Kate. She flipped the switch. Water surged through hidden pipes, flooding the lowland where Eric had led the aliens. As the Kralax struggled in the suddenly muddy ground, Jack triggered the second part of the trap. The farm's fertilizer storage tanks emptied into the water, creating a caustic mixture that burned the aliens' skin. They screamed, their calls echoing across the fields as they tried to escape the burning liquid. Eric made it to safety, sliding down a bank to where his father waited. "I told you I could help," he said, grinning despite his exhaustion. By nightfall, the Kralax had suffered severe losses. Zivron sat in his command ship, studying reports with disbelief. How can this be happening? They're physically weaker than us. Their technology is primitive. His medical officer showed him footage of humans fighting. "Look at how they continue despite injuries. This one lost blood but fought for another hour. Their endurance is remarkable." Zivran opened a communication channel to the Kralax fleet. This colony is proving difficult. Send reinforcements. The response came quickly. Negative, Commander. All available forces are engaged. Similar resistance is being reported across human territory. For the first time in his career, Zivran felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. These humans were supposed to be easy prey. Yet they fought with a creativity and determination he had never witnessed before. In the ruins of the colony center, Kate gathered the survivors. They had lost people, but the Kralax had lost more. We hold until help comes, she told them. Every day we resist gives Earth time to prepare. Eric looked up at the stars, wondering if other human colonies were fighting back too. Jack put his hand on his son's shoulder. They picked the wrong species to mess with, Jack said quietly. High Commander Drezkor stood before the large display screen in his command ship. The blue-skinned alien's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the battle reports from across human space. This was not going according to plan. Explain this, he said, to his advisors. His voice was calm, but everyone in the room felt his anger. We expected to conquer these humans within days. It has been 2 weeks and they still resist. The chief military advisor stepped forward. The humans fight differently, High Commander. They do not follow expected patterns. Drezkor turned all 4 eyes on him. We have conquered 32 species across the galaxy. All fell before our might. What makes these humans special? We are still studying them, sir. On Earth, in the underground bunker of Defense Headquarters, General Susan Hayes reviewed the incoming reports from the colonies. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and dark circles showed beneath her eyes from lack of sleep. But there was a spark of hope in her expression for the first time since the invasion began. The Kralax are slowing down, she told her staff. They expected us to break quickly. We haven't. Dr. Alan Wright, a tall man with dark skin and a thoughtful face, pointed to his analysis on the main screen. As Earth's leading anthropologist, he had been studying the little they knew about the Kralax. Their entire species evolved differently from humans, he explained. Their home planet had few predators and abundant resources. They never developed our survival instincts. Susan nodded. Can we use that against them? I think we already are, Alan replied. Look at New Horizon Colony. A small group of farmers and part-time militia held off a force 10 times their size. The Kralax don't understand why humans don't surrender when the odds are against them. Captain Natalie Patel entered the room. Her uniform was torn and dirty, and a fresh scar ran along her left cheek. Everyone stared in surprise. Captain, we thought you were lost when your ship was captured, Susan said. Natalie managed a tired smile. They did capture us, but they didn't expect us to capture them back. She placed a small device on the table. It was clearly of alien design. I infiltrated their command ship, got this from their central computer before I escaped. It has their battle plans for the next phase of the invasion. Alan looked at her with amazement. How did you manage to escape alien captivity and steal their plans? They underestimated how stubborn humans can be, Natalie said simply, and how good we are at pretending to be defeated until we see an opportunity. On the Kralax medical ship, the chief scientist Mevrax presented his findings to High Commander Drezkor. We have examined the human prisoners and studied their biology more thoroughly, he reported. The results are concerning. Drezkor leaned forward. Explain. Mevrax brought up images of human cellular structure. Their bodies have remarkable regenerative abilities. Wounds that would kill our warriors, they survive. They can lose blood, break bones, and continue fighting. That makes no sense, another advisor said. They are physically weaker than us. Yes, but they evolved as persistence hunters, Mevrax continued. Their ancestors chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They can endure pain and stress far longer than we calculated. He displayed another diagram. Even more worrying are their psychological traits. They have concepts our translators struggle to define. This one is called spite. What does it mean? Drezkor asked. It means they will harm themselves if it allows them to harm their enemy. They will sacrifice their own well-being simply to cause damage to those they oppose. The room fell silent as the Kralax commanders considered this alien concept. And there is something else, Mevrax added. When we corner them, when victory seems impossible, they do not surrender as other species do. They become more dangerous. Back, on Earth, Susan used the stolen battle plans to prepare Earth's defenses. For the first time, they could anticipate where the Kralax would strike next. They're planning a major assault on the moon base, she told her command staff. If they take that, they can launch attacks directly at Earth from close range. Alan studied the alien data. They're still treating this as a standard conquest. They expect us to protect our valuable resources and population centers. Then let's surprise them, Susan said with a grim smile. The Kralax fleet moved toward Earth's moon, expecting the main human defense forces to be there. Instead, they found the base nearly empty, with only automated defenses. Where are their ships? Drezkor demanded. Where are their soldiers? His question was answered when alarms blared across his command vessel. Human ships appeared behind them, cutting off their retreat. They had bypassed the moon entirely and targeted the Kralax command ships instead. Impossible, Drezkor snarled. No species would leave their critical infrastructure undefended, but humans would. Susan had made the difficult choice to sacrifice the moon base to strike at the heart of the Kralax fleet. The battle that followed was fierce. Human ships, though technically inferior, fought with unexpected tactics. They rammed larger Kralax vessels. They used their own damaged ships as weapons. When their weapon systems failed, crews took spacesuits and jetpacks to board enemy vessels manually. In his command center, Drezkor watched in growing horror as his carefully planned invasion fell apart. These humans did not fight by any rules. Of warfare he understood. Retreat, he finally ordered. All ships fall back to defensive positions. It was the first time in his career he had ever given such an order. On a captured Kralax vessel, Natalie Patel worked with a small team to decode more alien data. What she found made her rush back to Earth Command. They've called for reinforcements, she reported to Susan. A much larger fleet is on its way. We have maybe 2 weeks before they arrive. Susan looked tired but determined. Then we have 2 weeks to prepare. Alan showed them his latest findings. I've been studying their command structure. The Kralax have a rigid hierarchy. No one makes decisions without orders from above. It's why our unpredictable tactics work so well against them. Can we use that? Susan asked. Yes, they literally cannot comprehend individual initiative. The concept of a soldier making their own decisions in battle is alien to them. Natalie smiled slowly. Then we need to be as alien as possible. As the human resistance grew stronger, the Kralax gathered for a special council meeting. For the first time in their history, they faced a species that did not follow the expected patterns of conquest. They are only winning through desperation. One, Commander argued. When our reinforcements arrive, they will finally break. Drezkor was not so certain. He reviewed footage of humans continuing to fight despite serious injuries, of outnumbered colonies refusing to surrender, of captured humans who resisted interrogation beyond all logical limits. We may have made a mistake, he said quietly. These humans, they are not like the others. A science officer nodded. Our initial assessment classified them as physically inferior, but we failed to account for their psychological makeup. They have something we have never encountered before. And, what is that? Drezkor asked. They call it hope. Even against impossible odds, they believe they can win. And somehow that belief makes it possible. As the reinforcement fleet approached, both sides prepared for what would be the deciding battle. The humans knew they were outnumbered. The Kralax knew they faced an enemy unlike any other. The stage was set for the true test of which species was truly the most dangerous in the universe. Colonel Ryan Martinez stood before the 100 men and women who made up Earth's elite Special Forces team. They had gathered in the underground training facility, 50 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. Each soldier was the best of the best, chosen from military units around the world. The Kralax reinforcements will arrive in 10 days, Ryan told them. His voice was steady, but his dark eyes burned with intensity. Our job is to make sure they find their command structure in chaos when they get here. A soldier raised her Hand. Sir, how do we do that when they outnumber us 20-1? Ryan smiled slightly. We don't fight their soldiers. We target their leaders. In her lab at the Defense Research Center, Dr. Olivia Chen worked day and night. Test tubes and complex machines filled the room. Her team of scientists barely slept as they studied the Kralax biological samples obtained from battlefield casualties. Their cellular structure is fascinating, Olivia said, looking through a microscope. The 4-eye configuration gives them excellent vision, but it creates a weakness. Her assistant looked up. What kind of weakness? Their eyes are extremely sensitive to certain light frequencies, much more than human eyes. Olivia adjusted the microscope. We can use that. In space, near Jupiter's orbit, Ben Foster led a fleet of civilian ships converted for battle. Once a simple cargo captain, he now commanded 300 vessels of various sizes. None were designed for war, but all had been modified with makeshift weapons and armor. The Kralax expect warships, Ben told his captains during their briefing. They don't expect mining lasers mounted on cargo haulers or pleasure yachts with missile launchers. One of the captains, an older woman who once piloted luxury cruisers, laughed. We're the space version of pirates. Pirates with a purpose, Ben replied. We'll hit their supply lines while their main fleet engages Earth's defense forces. Deep in Kralax territory, Scout Commander Tevnar led a reconnaissance mission to monitor human activities. Unlike many of his kind, Tevnar had developed a grudging respect for these strange creatures. Observe only, he instructed his team as their stealth ship watched a human colony rebuilding after an attack. Do not engage. His second-in-command seemed confused. They are vulnerable now. We could easily destroy them. Tevnar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of disagreement. That is what we thought before. Look at them. On the view screen, humans worked tirelessly to rebuild their damaged structures. Some were clearly injured but continued to work. Children helped carry supplies. An old female with only one arm directed the placement of defensive barriers. They do not stop, Tevnar said quietly. We destroy their buildings, they build again. We kill their warriors, others take their place. Even their young and old contribute to the fight. It is illogical, his officer replied. They must see they cannot win. Yet they continue as if victory is certain. Tevnar zoomed the camera on a group of humans who had stopped to eat. They were laughing. And stranger still, they find joy even in their darkest moments. The Kralax reinforcement fleet moved through space toward Earth. High Commander Drezkor prepared his warriors for what he promised would be the final battle. The humans have fought well, he told his commanders, but they cannot withstand our combined might. Their resistance ends when our full force arrives. Yet doubt had crept into his mind. Reports from the front lines described humans fighting in ways that defied Kralax military doctrine. They attacked when they should retreat. They sacrificed valuable resources to gain tactical advantages. They operated in small independent units rather than centralized formations. What if they attack before our reinforcements arrive? One commander asked. They would be fools to do so, Drezkor replied. Their forces are already stretched thin. The humans, of course, did exactly that. Colonel Ryan's special forces deployed in small teams across Kralax-held territory. They used stolen alien shuttles to infiltrate key positions. Rather than engaging in direct combat, they targeted communication relays, command posts, and supply depots. One team, led by Ryan himself, infiltrated a major Kralax base on Mars. Wearing experimental stealth suits developed by Dr. Chen, they moved unseen through alien corridors. Plant the devices at each junction, Ryan whispered to his team. They placed small discs at key locations throughout the base. When activated, the devices emitted a pulse of light at exactly the frequency Olivia had identified. The effect on the Kralax was immediate. Their sensitive eyes couldn't process the light, leaving them temporarily blind and disoriented. As the aliens stumbled and fell, Ryan's team moved efficiently through the base, capturing the commanding officers and downloading critical data. Similar operations happened simultaneously across a dozen Kralax positions. By the time their reinforcement fleet was 3 days away, their command structure was in disarray. Ben Foster's civilian fleet struck next. They appeared suddenly from behind Jupiter's moons, attacking the supply ships that supported the Kralax main fleet. Target their engines and communication arrays, Ben ordered. Don't try to destroy them completely. His ragtag fleet moved with surprising coordination. Mining ships used their industrial lasers to cut through alien hulls. Passenger liners, now armed with missiles, launched precision strikes at key systems. The Kralax ships, designed to fight conventional battles, struggled against these unconventional attacks. Their captains had been trained to combat military vessels, not converted civilian ships using unpredictable tactics. In his command ship, Drezkor received alarming reports from all fronts. They are not following any known warfare doctrine, his tactical officer said, confusion evident in his voice. Small teams strike critical targets, then disappear. Civilian vessels attack our supply lines. They seem to have no central strategy we can counter. Drezkor stared at the tactical display, watching as his carefully constructed invasion plan fell into chaos. They have no central strategy because every human unit acts independently, he realized. They don't need orders from above to know what to do. This concept was almost incomprehensible to the Kralax mind. Their entire society was built on clear hierarchies and orders flowing from top to bottom. The idea of individual soldiers making their own decisions was alien to them. On Earth, General Susan Hayes monitored the operations from her command center. Reports of successful strikes against Kralax positions came in one after another. It's working, she told Dr. Alan Wright. Ryan's teams have disrupted their command structure. Ben's fleet has their supply lines in chaos. Alan nodded, studying the data on his tablet. The psychological impact may be even more significant than the physical damage. The Kralax don't understand how we can function without centralized control. Susan smiled grimly. That's always been humanity's strength. We adapt. The decisive moment came at Jupiter's defense perimeter. The Kralax main fleet, attempting to regroup with their approaching reinforcements, found themselves caught between Earth's defense forces and Ben's civilian fleet. The battle was fierce. Human ships took devastating losses, but they fought with a determination that shocked the Kralax commanders. When their weapons failed, they rammed enemy vessels. When their shields collapsed, they continued firing until their ships broke apart. From his observation post, Tevnar watched with a mixture of horror and admiration. They do not fear death, he reported to High Command. They fight harder as their situation becomes more desperate. The reinforcement fleet, still 3 days away, received confused and contradictory orders from a command structure in disarray. Without clear direction, their advance slowed as commanders debated how to proceed. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the mighty Kralax military began to experience something new: demoralization. As the battle raged around Jupiter, Drezkor faced the unthinkable possibility that these physically weaker, technologically inferior humans might actually defeat them. Not through superior strength or technology, but through sheer determination and adaptability. They are not just fighting a war, he said quietly to his advisors. For them, this is survival. And that makes them the most dangerous opponents we have ever faced. President Diana Miller stood before the Emergency Council in the deep underground bunker, beneath what remained of Washington, D.C. The room was silent as she studied the holographic display showing the current state of the war with the Kralax. 3 months ago, they thought they would conquer us in days, she said. Her voice was tired but determined. Now they're on the defensive. But the war isn't over yet. The military advisors nodded grimly. Earth had suffered terrible losses. Millions, dead cities destroyed, colonies reduced to ruins, yet humanity had not broken. Instead, they had grown stronger, more determined with each defeat. Madam President, General Susan Hayes said, we've just received word. Major Winters and Dr. Baker have returned. Diana's eyes widened slightly. Sam Winters and Lily Baker had been missing since the first day of the invasion, when the aliens had attacked the diplomatic meeting on Artemis Station. Most had assumed they were dead. The door opened, and 2 figures entered. They looked different, Then the official photos Diana remembered. Sam's face was scarred, his uniform replaced by mismatched armor pieces, some clearly of Kralak's design. Lily's red hair was now cut short and her left arm was encased in a medical support sleeve. Major. Doctor. Welcome home, Diana said. We thought we'd lost you. Sam gave a tired smile. We've been behind enemy lines, Madam President, learning everything we could about them. Lily stepped forward, placing a data device on the table. And we found their weakness. On the Kralak's homeworld, High Commander Drezkor faced the Elder Council. The 9 oldest and wisest of their species sat, in judgment of his failure. You promised an easy victory, the Chief Elder said, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence to show disapproval. Instead, you have brought us our first military defeat in 10 generations. Drezkor lowered his head. The humans are different. Honored elders. They do not fight as other species fight. Explain, demanded another elder. They should have surrendered when we destroyed their major cities. They should have broken when we showed our technological superiority. Instead, they fought harder. They adapted to our tactics faster than we could adapt to theirs. The council chamber fell silent as they considered his words. The Kralak's empire had expanded across the galaxy based on a simple principle. Superior. Force always wins. Until now. In Earth's war room, Lily explained what she and Sam had discovered during their months behind enemy lines. The Kralak society is completely hierarchical, she said, showing diagrams on the main screen. No one makes decisions without approval from above. It's why our decentralized tactics work so well against them. Sam pointed to another image. But there's more. Their entire species evolved in an environment with few threats. They never developed the survival instincts that humans have. What are you suggesting? Asked Diana. Sam and Lily exchanged glances. We believe a small strike team could reach their homeworld, Sam said. Not to destroy it, but to show them something they've never seen before. Show them what? General Hayes asked. The truth about humans, Lily replied, and why they should fear us. The plan was dangerous, perhaps suicidal. A small stealth ship, using technology reversed engineered from captured Kralak's vessels, would carry Sam, Lily, and a small team directly to the alien homeworld. Their goal was not military victory, but a psychological one. As preparations were made, Earth continued to fight. The Kralak's reinforcements had arrived, but they found a human resistance far stronger than they expected. Colonies that should have fallen easily became death traps. Civilian populations formed guerrilla units. Even children set traps and acted as scouts. Scout Commander Tevnar, now promoted to lead the Kralak's intelligence division, tried to warn his superiors. The longer we fight them, the stronger they become, he reported. They learn from each defeat. They grow more determined with each loss. The Elder Council dismissed his concerns. They are just one species on one world, the Chief Elder said. They cannot stand against the might of our empire forever. Tevnar was not so certain. He had watched humans too long to underestimate them anymore. The human strike team launched in secrecy, their ship using captured Kralak's identification codes to slip through enemy defenses. Sam led the mission, with Lily beside him as advisor. They had lived among the aliens, learned their language, studied their culture. If anyone could reach the heart of the Kralak's empire, it was them. Their journey took 2 weeks, moving carefully through enemy territory. When they finally reached the Kralak's homeworld, they were surprised by its beauty. Unlike Earth's varied environments, this world was gentle and uniform. Perfect temperatures, abundant resources, minimal environmental threats. No wonder they don't understand us, Lily whispered as they looked at sensor readings. They never had to struggle, just to survive. They landed in a remote area and made their way to the capital city using stolen transport. The Kralak's, so confident in their defenses, never imagined that humans could reach their homeworld. Security was minimal. The Elder Council was in session when Sam's team breached the chamber. Alarms sounded, but the humans moved with practiced efficiency, neutralizing guards with stunning weapons. They didn't kill unless necessary. This wasn't about vengeance. "What is the meaning of this?" the chief elder demanded as the humans secured the room. Sam stepped forward. "We come with a message from Earth." Drezkor, present for the council meeting, stared in shock. "How did you reach our world? It's impossible." "You still don't understand humans, do you?" Sam replied. "The word impossible just makes us try harder." Lily activated a device they had brought. Images filled the chamber showing Earth's history. Wars, disasters, plagues, and each time humans surviving, rebuilding, growing stronger. "Unlike your species, we evolved on a dangerous world," she explained. "Everything on our planet was trying to kill us. Predators, weather, disease, even other humans. We survived because we never, ever give up." The council watched in silence as more images appeared. Humans continuing to fight despite terrible injuries. Civilians turning everyday tools into weapons. Children helping in resistance efforts. "Your military doctrine is based on a simple principle," Sam continued. "That superior force always wins. But humans don't accept that principle. We fight even when we cannot win, because sometimes the fight itself changes what's possible." Drezkor stepped forward. "What do you want from us, surrender?" Sam shook his head. "Peace. But peace with understanding. You need to understand what will happen if you continue this war." The final images showed Earth's military history, how humans had turned against each other with increasingly deadly weapons, how warfare had shaped human civilization itself. "We fight each other more viciously than we've fought you," Lily said quietly. "Everything we've done against your forces is restrained compared to what we could do if truly desperate." The chief elder's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "You threaten us with extinction?" "No," Sam replied. "We're offering you survival. End this war now before humanity stops fighting by your rules and starts fighting by ours." A long silence filled the chamber as the Kralax leaders considered his words. They had never encountered a species like humans before. A species shaped by constant conflict that grew stronger from adversity rather than being broken by it. "Perhaps," the chief elder finally said, "we have made an error in judgment regarding your kind." 2 days later, the Kralax fleet received unexpected orders. Cease all hostilities against humans. The war that was supposed to last days, but had stretched into months, ended not with humanity's defeat, but with the aliens' recognition of a simple truth. In the peace treaty signing ceremony, attended by leaders from both species, President Diana Miller spoke words that would be remembered across the galaxy. "Today marks a new understanding between our peoples. The Kralax came to our world believing they were the most advanced warriors in the universe. They leave knowing that the most dangerous species is not always the strongest or most technologically advanced. It is the one that refuses to accept defeat, that learns from every failure, and that fights hardest when victory seems impossible." Drezkor, representing the Kralax Empire, inclined his head respectfully. "We came to conquer Earth. We leave having learned more about warfare than in 10,000 years of conquest. Humans fight not just with weapons, but with will. That is, a power we had never encountered before." As news of the peace treaty spread across human space, celebrations erupted on Earth and its colonies. They had faced an enemy that should have crushed them, and instead taught that enemy to fear them. Sam watched the celebrations from a quiet corner of the diplomatic chamber. Lily joined him, her arm still in its medical sleeve. "Do you think they really understand?" she asked. Sam looked at the Kralax delegation, who watched the celebrating humans with all 4 eyes wide in continued amazement. "I think they're starting to," he said. "They finally realize that the most dangerous warriors aren't the ones with the strongest bodies or the best weapons. They're the ones who never learn how to give up," Lily finished. Across the galaxy, other species received the news with shock. The mighty Kralax Empire had met its match in a species from a backwater planet called Earth. A new power had emerged in the universe, and its warriors were unlike any seen before.